Hey guys, how's it going and welcome yet to another video. So in this video, I want to talk to you about how we can chain API requests together. Alright, so sometimes, let me explain a little bit of the context. So sometimes in our app, we may need to make several API calls to fetch certain information. So we may make the first API call, we get the JSON response, and then we manipulate that data, and then we use some of this data as a parameter to make the second API call, all right? And then we get the JSON response again, and then we manipulate some of its data, and then we make the third API call using that as a parameter, and finally we get back our desired data or information that we want. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how we can do that with the Combine Framework, as well as the new feature by Swift 5.5, which is the await async. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so as you can see on my screen right now, I have this JSON placeholder site that I'm in. So what it does is that it just gives us some mock JSON response. So as you can see over here, I have, let me see, where is that? I think it's at the bottom here. Oh yeah, okay. So as you can see over here, when I click on users over here, this returns to me a JSON response. It gives me 10 different users, I believe. Yep, 10 different users. It's all mock data. So over here, I have the post as well. So the post will give me 100 posts. All right. It doesn't seem to give me 100 posts. It looks like, oh yeah, 100 posts over here. And then finally, I have the comments and it returns 500 comments over here. Okay, so I'm not going to bore you with all this mock data, but I want to illustrate to you how we can make 3 separate calls and then use the response from each one to make the next call. Okay, so let's assume that our business logic is I'm going to call this user's endpoint, and then I want to get the last user. Okay, so in this case, it's user ID 10. And then I want to fetch the post by that last user. Okay, so the last user is user ID 10. So I'm going to go to our post request over here, and I want to search where user ID equals to 10. So as you can see, I think it's all the way at the bottom over here. Okay, so once I get all the posts, I want to get the last post, which is ID 100, and fetch all the commands where post ID is 100. Okay, so I know this is, let me see, post ID is 100, which is the last few, I think it's the last 5 one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm expecting to get this information back, okay, from the business logic that I just described. Okay, so guys, let's get started. Let me open up my trusty Xcode, and I have already done that over here. So I'm just going to use this as a guide, all right? So a couple of times I might stumble, so please be nice to me, okay? Because I'm going to teach you something absolutely for free, which I think will really benefit your development. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to start with a Swift UI project. So I'm just going to call this a Combine Network Request. Okay, and I'm going to show you how we can do that again, both using Combine Framework as well as the await async. Okay, so firstly, we want to create the models. Okay, so we want to create the models for users. Okay, and what am I really interested in? I'm just interested in the ID and maybe just the name. Okay, so let's bring in the model over here. So I'm going to do everything inside one file so that, you know, I don't need to switch back and forth. Okay, so user, I am interested in the ID, which is of type integer, I believe. Yep, and I'm interested in the name. Okay, so let name is of type string. So I want to make this decodable so that I can use the JSON decoder to just do this for me automatically. And then the next thing I want is I want the post. Okay, again, what am I interested in? I'm interested in the ID as well as what else? Maybe user ID, ID and title. Okay, so I'm just gonna cheat a little bit by just copying this over here and just paste this over here so I get some reference. So this is the post, and then this conforms to decodable again. And then I want to have the ID, which is integer, let user ID, which is integer, and I believe the title should be of type string. Okay, finally, we want the comments, which is this guy over here. So what are we interested in? We are interested in this, and okay, just maybe these 3 parameters should be fine. All right, so strut comment Again, it conforms to decodable. And then I'm interested in this. Let me do it this way. Let ID of type string, let post ID of type integer, and finally let name, or maybe not the name. Maybe let's get the email because it's a lot shorter. So email will be of type string as well. So let email is of type string. Okay, so let's get rid of this. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we can do that using the Combine framework. Okay, so once I'm able to populate all the commands, I'm going to list them inside this this content view over here. So I'm going to make this super simple. The main gist of the lesson is really how we can chain the network requests together. All right, so the first thing we want to do is to create a strut over here. Okay, so this is a bit like my API manager. So I'm going to do combine, and I'm just going to say combine implementation. Okay, so subsequently we will do the await async implementation. Okay, so that comes a bit later. Okay, so what are we going to do over here? I'm going to get I'm going to create all this, so to speak, network requests. So I'm going to do get users. Okay, and because this is I'm going to use the combine implementation, I'm going to return any publisher over here. Okay, it's going to complain. I think I should just import combine here first. Okay, so any publisher, and what is the data type that I want? I want to receive, I'm expecting to receive an array of user. So this is going to be my signature. So I'm going to do let URL equals to URL string. Okay, I'm just going to collapse this over here first. We don't need this yet. Okay, so what do I need over here? Let's come back here and let me make this a bit bigger. Okay, so this is what we need. Okay, so I'm just going to paste this over here. All right, and then I'm going to do return URL session .data task. Okay, I want to find the one that returns the data publisher. All right, so which is this one. So as you can see, as I scroll down, this is what I want to receive, the result type. Okay, so let me just pass in the URL over here, and then what I'm really interested is I'm interested in the data. So I'm going to do map. Okay, so I'm going to map the data, and then I want to decode this. Okay, so I want to, so what is the type? So obviously this type is user.self, and then the decoder, we can just pass in the default one, which is the JSON decoder, and then finally just erase to publisher, just like that. Really simple. Okay, so let me just do a command B to make sure that this is building correctly. Okay, is Xcode complaining? I hope not. Okay, let me just change this to this first. Hit the play button. Okay, I believe this should compile correctly. So let me just get started. Let me just do the next one. So it's going to be get post. All right, so I think I can just copy this. Just let me cheat a little bit. So let get post. So plural, and then this is going to be post. And then let's look at the URL, which is this one. Okay, so get post. Okay, but right now, I don't just want to get every post inside over here. I want to get the post and I want to have a filter, okay? So I only want to get the post where the user ID is the last user inside this endpoint, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put user ID of type integer over here. And then over here, I'm going to say question mark user ID equals to user ID. All right, so I'm going to add a parameter over here. All right, so obviously this is going to be post, and I think that should be it. Command B to build. Let's hope it succeeds. Okay, it's good. Okay, so finally I want to get the comments. All right, so get comments. So get comments, but I only want to get the comments where of a certain post ID. So I'm going to do it this way. So let's come back here again. Copy that. Let me just paste that over here. And then I'm going to do question mark post ID equals to post ID over here like that. Okay, over here, this needs to be command over here. Okay, and let me just quickly hit the play button to just make sure that Xcode is behaving correctly. Okay, it says hello world here, so it's good. Okay guys, so now since I'm going to use Swift UI, I'm going to create a view model over here. All right, so let's do that right now. So strut. Okay, so this is going to be a view model. Okay, so what do we want to put inside this view model? Let me just come to my example. Okay, so I want this view to be able to observe the view model. So over here, I have to conform this to observable object. Okay, so what this means is, just let me come up to the top over here. I have to say that this is observable object var view model equals to view model. Okay, so let me command B to build this. So this should, oops, why is it complaining? Let me see. Oh, sorry guys, this should be a class. Okay, because it has inheritance over here. So unknown attribute observable object. Oh, I think it's called observe object instead of observable, my bad. Okay, command B to build, so it should build successfully now. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is that I'm going to create this commands over here. So var commands. So this will be of type command. So currently it's an empty array. So I want this to be observable, and therefore I have to add the word published over here. Okay, so basically over here, what I want to do is that inside this body itself, I want to have some kind of list over here. All right. So what do I want to get? What am I going to list? I'm going to list the commands. And when do I get the commands from? It's from the view model. So the view model.commands, and then I'm going to do command in, and then very simply, I'm just going to put it inside a label. All right. So command.email. All right. So I want to be able to make some kind of call inside the view model, and upon the oops, what's the problem over here? Dot commands. Oh, it requires that I conform to identifiable. Okay, so let's do that right now. So identifiable. Okay, I believe this should work right now. Okay, no complaints. Okay, so I have to, okay guys, come on. It's good now, all right? So on appear, I want to be able to make some kind of API call, all right? So I'm just going to do inside the view model, I'm going to write a function here called fetch commands with combine. Okay, so over here, it's going to be view model dot fetch commands with combine. And then when this API call is made, when this function is being called, what it does is that it's going to make the API calls over here, and then it's going to assign those values inside the commands property here. Okay, so let's get started. So what do we need to do? I have to create an instance of this combine implementation. So I'm going to do private let combine service equals to combine implementation. Okay, something like that. Okay, so again, what is our business logic? Okay, so let me just put that here. I'm going to fetch all the users, and then I only want to pick the last one. All right, and then I want to fetch all the posts from the user, okay, which is the last user inside here. And then I want to pick the last post, and then I want to fetch all the commands from the last post. All right, so this is going to be our business logic, and we're going to chain all this together inside just one function. Okay, and of course we want to handle the errors as well. Okay, so there could be certain error that we need to handle. So for example, when we fetch the users, the JSON response could be empty, and if it's empty, we want to throw some kind of error. Okay, so I'm going to create some custom errors here first. All right, so Enum Api Error, which conforms to the error protocol. Okay, so we want to have 3 different cases. Okay, so let me just indent this first so that it's nice. Okay, so the first case is going to be empty users. Okay, the second case will be empty posts, and the last case will be empty commands. So ideally, we don't expect that the response will return to us an empty array. Okay, so I'm just going to create this to handle the error. All right, so over here, I'm going to fetch all the users. So how can I do that? Okay, so combine service dot get users. Okay, so notice over here that when I use get users, what does it want us to return? It wants us to return any publisher, over here a user array or error. Okay. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use flat map. Okay, so I'm going to hit the enter button and I'm going to put users. Okay, and this, what am I interested to get back is actually this signature over here, which is the post. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this first. All right, guys, I know it might be a bit confusing, but I think I'll explain further why this is the case. Okay, so because we want to link them together, we want to return this publisher over here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is if let user equals to users.first else. Okay, if users.first cannot be found, then I'm going to return fail, and I'm going to do API error dot empty users erase to publisher. All right. Otherwise, if I can find the user, I want to return this. All right. So how do I get this? I get this by going to combine service dot get post. All right. Over here, and where do I get the user ID? I'm going to get the user ID from this object over here, which is user.id. Okay, it's going to complain because we're inside a closure, so maybe I could just add a weak self over here. And of course, adding a weak self, if I'm to do it this way, it's going to complain. Let me do a command B. I think it's going to complain. All right, so what I can do is I can just do let this equals to self, and then I can just use this over here. All right, so let me do command B to build this. Okay, not complaining, that's great. Okay, so what are we going to do next? I'm going to do flat map. So notice over here, what does it returns over here? It returns a array of posts, and we have to return a publisher here. All right, it gives us an array of posts, and it wants us to return a publisher. Okay, so I'm going to hit the enter button again. So this will be post. And then I'm going to return, want to make a guess what I'm going to return? I want to return this signature this time, okay, which is the comments over here. So I'm going to put that over here. And then I'm going to say if let post equals to post dot first, dot last. Am I making a mistake here? This should be last, sorry guys. Okay, so last. Okay, if let post equals post dot last else. Okay, else means I can't find that. It could be because it's an empty array. Then I want to throw an error. All right, so this will be empty post. All right, but if I can find the first post, what I want to do, I want to return this publisher over here. And where can I find that? I can do that. Let me just do this first. Let's do the weak self to handle the retain cycle. Okay, I'm going to do this dot combine service dot get comments. All right, because get comments, this function, guess what is the signature? It is this one over here. All right, so this is how we chain that together. Okay, I think it's let over here. And then I'm going to do post dot id. So let me do command B again to just build this. So it's good now. Okay, so what's the problem here? Let me see. Result, it's not. Okay, so finally what I want to do is I want to do dot sync. Okay, so over here, this is going to be the completion result. So I'm going to hit the enter button and put in result. So I'm going to switch through this result. So I can have failure, let error. All right, so if I have an error that's happening inside in either of this network requests, it's going to appear over here. All right, so maybe I'm just going to print the error.localize description. Okay, so default over here is when this is completed. So I'm going to do completed. All right, so over here, I'm going to get the comments. And I believe these are the comments that I want. All right, so I'm going to do self.comments equals to comments over here. All right, so I'm going to assign all the comments that I get over here into this property over here, and I think I have to dispatch this into the main queue, otherwise it's going to complain. Okay, so let's do that right now. Okay, let me do a command B again. So let's see if everything's okay. Result is unused. Result is unused. Oh, it's because I have to do return. This is kind of strange, but let's just do that. Command B again. Sync. Okay, so what we need to do over here is that we have to add a subscriber, all right, because this is returning a publisher. So let's do var subscribers equals to set any cancelable, just like that. And then we have to store this inside the subscribers here, just like that. Okay, so command B to make sure that everything is looking nice and dandy. Okay, no complaints. Okay, guys, I hope that you understand. Okay, I'm trying to make this very modular, as simple as possible. All right, so what's going to happen right now is this should work. So let me just hit the play button to run it on the simulator, and let's see if this is working. All right, so as you can see, guys, I can list all the emails from the last comments. Okay, so as you can see, I see the word completed that's being printed out, which is over here. And if we are to open up the simulator again one more time, and let me just bring this JSON response here. Okay, so basically we want to get the last user from this one. So the last user is user ID 10. So we come to the post and we find the last post where user ID is 10, which is, I believe, the last one here. And the post is ID 100. All right, so we come to the comment section, and I believe it's all the way at the end where post ID is 100. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I believe we should see Zola, Dolly, Davion, Wilburn, and Emma. All right, guys, I hope that this is helpful. So now we want to try that using await async. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so let me look at my notes one more time. Okay, so let's get started, guys. So let's do func get users. So I'm going to use the same function name. So get users, and then we have get comments. Oh, sorry, get posts, and then we have the get comments over here. Okay, so the difference is that await async, it kind of works, the way it's structured, it looks like it's a synchronous call. All right, so I'm going to return a result type. Okay, so what's the result type? This is going to return to us an array of user or error. Okay, so for the post, again, okay, it's going to complain if I put it here, but let me just work on the get user one first. So sorry, get users. Okay, and then get post, I need to put in user ID, which is of type integer, and for comments, I need to get a post ID integer as well. Okay, so over here, how do we write the syntax? Okay, so the first thing is that we have to add async over here. Okay, so this keyword here, and then the magic is going to happen inside the do catch block. Okay, so catch like that, and then we want to make sure that we handle the error. So if an error exists, we want to return failure case error over here. Okay, otherwise we are going to create the URL. Okay, so what's the URL? It's this one over here. So maybe let me just copy this. Okay, let URL is this, and then we're going to do, okay, so when we make an API call, we will receive the data as well as the response. So I'm going to create a tuple like that. So data and response over here equals to try. Okay, so await. So this is basically the new keyword that we have to add into it. So URL session dot chat dot data, and I think it's this one over here. Oops, data. I think it's data from. Where's data from? Okay, here we go. This one over here, and we just have to pass in the URL. And I don't think I need the delegate, so I'm just going to remove that. Okay, so just like that, it looks like an asynchronous call. And then I want to get the data and transform that into an array of user. Okay, so how do we do that? So let users equals to try JSON decoder dot decode, and then this will be user dot self, and then this will be data. Okay, and finally I'm going to return the success case, and then this will be users, and because we don't need the response, I'm just going to make this an underscore, just like that. Okay, so let me do a command B to make sure that this is building correctly. Okay, whoops, what is the problem here? It's for iOS 15 only. Alright guys, so let me just quickly do this. Okay, I think it should work now. Command B to build this. Okay, no complaints, great. Okay, so I'm going to do the same for get post. I'm not going to bore you, so I'm just going to copy from my solution. Okay, all right, so you can just check it out at your own time if you want to, and let me just copy the get comments one as well. Okay, so get post ID, get user ID. Okay, should be fine. Post over here, comments over here. Okay guys, so now I want to come back to the view model to create another function here. So func fetch comments with await async. Okay, let me just bring this to the top. Okay, let me look at my implementation. All right, so guys, how are we going to do this? Very simply, we have to wrap everything inside something called a task object. All right, so it's going to be tasks, and then let's just initialize this. Okay, so for the priority, I'm going to set this to be background. Okay, because we're making a network request, and then I'm going to do let. Okay, so we want to get all the users first. Okay, so I'm going to maybe just copy this over here, and then paste this here so that we can have reference to the business logic. So I'm going to get the users first. So let user result equals to await. Okay guys, I forgot to do something before that, so I'm gonna do let await async service equals to await async implementation. All right, so it's a bit of a mouthful, I know. So await async dot get users, just like that. Okay, so if you see over here, what is this? This is, maybe let me just make this a bit more explicit. Okay, so I want to switch through the result to ensure that I get this users over here, but I think I'm just going to cheat a little bit by just using the get statement. So I'm going to say get success let users equals to user result. Okay, and then I'm going to do let user equals to users dot first, else return. Okay, maybe I will do the error handling maybe at the end. Okay, so let me just illustrate the chaining first, and then I'm going to do let post results. Okay, maybe this should be users results. Post results equals to await async service dot get post. Okay, all right, so I'm going to do user dot id, and then after that I'm going to do get case success let post equals to post with an s post results, and then let post equals to post dot first else return. Okay, and then I'm going to do what's the next one? Let me see. Get comments. All right, so let comments results equals to await async dot get comments where post dot id. Okay guys, so finally got case success let comments equals to comments result else return. Okay, so finally we have our comments over here. Okay, and then we want to do dispatch queue dot main dot async, and then we do self.commands equals to comments. All right, guys. So as you can see, this is just a couple of lines. I mean, maybe about 10 lines. But if you are to do this, making 3 API calls using the way that we have been using it, which is via a completion handler, it's going to be 20-30 lines at least, I believe. Okay, so this makes the network calls a lot cleaner with this await async method. Okay, so let's see if this is working. Okay, so I'm going to come back to our to my content view over here, and rather than calling the fetch commands with combine, I'm going to do fetch commands with await async or async await, I can't remember. Okay, so let's hit the play button and let's see if the simulator is showing up those information as well. Yeah, so as you can see, guys, we're also receiving this array of emails over here. All right, so guys, please leave in a comment. Let me know whether you like the await async method or you prefer the one using Combine Framework. All right, guys, I know this video is a bit long, so thanks a lot for sticking around to the end. Okay, again, if you want to handle the failure case, then rather than using the gut case over here, you might have to do like a switch statement instead. Okay, you have to do something like users result success let users, and then case failure let error, and then you have to do whatever you have to do over here. All right, so this is just an example to show you how we can chain those network requests together. So guys, thanks again for sticking around. I hope that you find this lesson useful. And if you would like me to cover more things that you think I should cover, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. And also, I will make this XCode project available in the comments section or in the description of this video, so you can just download this and use this as reference. All right, guys, I wish you all the best and stay safe, and see you guys in the next one. Cheers.